Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, we're going to talk about how the fastest way to lose friends at an EDH game. Jin Gitaxias will do it. I actually did not have Jin Gitaxias built before a little while ago, and I played it in, I think, was the Teferi deck or something. And when I played it, one of my opponents went, "Oh my god, that I can't." I was like, "What?" He pretty much dies to everything. And he goes, "No, I just don't want to see your Jin Gitaxias deck." And it light bulb moment. So anyway, here's the Jin Gitaxias deck. Now, obviously, as I said, he does die to a lot of stuff. Oh, by the way, there is one more thing that I am doing with this particular video. The decks, you all know how much I love the deck boxes, but they've started making sleeves now, and this is the first deck that I have in the deck sleeves. They are a matte finish. They do, however, not have that crazy little emblem down there that Ultra Pro puts on theirs. So, and I've done jacked up my focus. But they shuffle really well. I haven't had a problem with them getting stuck together. I haven't had a problem with them splitting. They are, it's a really, really good sleeve and affordable. I think they're cheaper than everything Ultra Pro has. Love them. So far, these decks, folks, I don't know anything about them other than so far they are really knocking it out of the park with the supplies. Anyway, obviously, first card, we got to have Reliquary Tower. Now, we'll wait to get to the artifacts. Obviously, we will. This Treasure Mage is the single only creature in the deck. Well, no, I'm sorry. He's not the only creature in the deck because he's got a buddy. Now, Mimnarch, let's face it, the idea behind this particular Jin Gitaxias deck is stasis. Yes. In the words of Mike Tyson, douchebag. It is one of the most hated cards in this game. I absolutely love it. I've played with stasis since 1994 when I started playing because it was all about the white, blue, and the Sarah Angel and the Kismet and whatever. But in this particular deck, it is amazing. You do things with stasis like drain power, so you force tap a player. Deja Vu gets your stuff back for you. Whereas Bluster Squall is probably the greatest thing to happen to stasis. At 4 mana, it taps every creature on the board that you don't control. This is beautiful. Now, before we go any further, y'all know I'm playing with a capsize. And you probably know why I'm playing with a capsize. Because it's a really good card. True, it is a really good card. But it's also redonkulous with the Paradox engine. Now, I realize this particular capsize is foreign. It is a 3 mana boomerang. It bounces a target permanent. It also has 3 mana buyback. So, if you can tap non-land permanents, like, say, artifacts, to cast your capsize, you get to untap them all. Like, say this right here. Yeah, those 4 cards won't even fit in the frame together because you tap these 2 to cast your capsize, and then when you cast your capsize, it untaps these 2. I mean, it totally shouldn't, but it does. And it's you get to bounce everything on the board to its owner's hand, which is fun for you only. Keep in mind that. As far as the artifact round, we'll go ahead and go that route with it. It is just quite a bit of mana ramp with artifacts, because let's face it, if we're late in the game, you can actually get a bonus. You can get extra mana out of your Paradox Engine and your Capsize. You can, steal stuff with Memnarch, cast your Capsize, and untap all your stuff and steal more stuff. You can steal stuff on everybody else's turn with Unwinding Clock, making your artifacts untap. So we'll go through the rest of the artifacts while we're right here. Now, you are committing to artifacts, so we probably need to, protect them a little bit. Obviously, the Forge. Love the Forge. Key, Cloak. Don't mind playing with a disc as long as we're playing with the Forge. Spellbook. And the version of Spellbook, the Library of Ling, I really love this card because the Wheel of Fortune effects are so popular, and a lot of times when you play your Treasure Mage or you search up a card that you have to reveal and you show it, it becomes their life's goal to get you to discard your hand then. That is why I prefer Library of Ling over all the others. Not saying the others are bad, just saying because Vincer's Journal, there are times when that life comes in handy. It really does. Now, Memory Crystal, here again, it reduces your buyback. Copy Artifact can copy your Memory Crystal, or half your deck, because half your deck is artifacts. Reconstruction will go get back your artifacts. But now, buyback, I do have some other buyback cards in here. Mind Games, because this is, I hate to call it a stasis deck with only one stasis and, not really a whole lot of other stuff, but it works. And if you can cast it off of all artifact mana, not your lands, Paradox Engine's going to untap everything. So, really kind of good. Buyback Counterspell, that probably should have never existed. I'm not exactly certain why they did it. And you have a surplus of cards at your disposal because, you've got Jinji in play. Now, granted, it becomes their life's goal to kill Jinji. Don't get shit twisted. He ain't living. Until you get your thing off, Jinji's not living. And then with the Jinji, and if you've got that and the Forbid, it's really kind of hard, especially if the Paradox Engine's out and you can keep untapping your lands. Non-artifact spells you cast have Improvise. Wow. The Improvise, your artifacts, because a lot of your artifacts work whether they're tapped or not, so it doesn't really matter. We have the O-Stone, Greening Totem. A lot of times I'm stealing their artifact, maybe, or if nothing else, you get to peek at their deck. Greening Totem, I think, is actually making a splash in older formats right now. I don't know. But obviously, we're going to have our mana doublers, Gauntlet of Power, Cage Sun, and Extraplanar Lens. And because of Extraplanar Lens, yes, we are running all the snow covers. Now, Black Vice is one of our many win conditions. Black Vice does only work on one person. It's one of those cards they have not errated to do the table yet, and I don't think they will. I think at 1 mana that would be ridiculously powerful. But with as much bounce as we have, you can kill one person with it, bounce it, and to retarget somebody else. Heartstone. Heartstone, yeah, it's in here exclusively for Memnarch. Because, as I said, we're trying to lose friends here. Now, I do have the planar couple. I love the planar portal. More than likely, I'm just going to planar portal up a planar bridge, and then we're going to get nuts. Especially if you've got the clock, or it's things are bad. If they let that happen, things go bad for them. Impulse does us some searching. Mindslaver. Phyrexian Metamorph does all kinds of double duty with this deck. I mean, it's like it's any artifact you want. Most of the time, what I'm doing with it is a second copy of my Gilded Lotus, because that way I've got 6 colored mana, and I can do all kinds of crazy shenanigans because they're artifacts, and oh, it's so good. But mechanized production, yeah. If they leave you alone, this card gets bananas. Copy Enchantment and Paradox Haze. Now, Paradox Haze is obviously, there are a few circumstances where you would want double upkeeps, not a lot, but typically this is going to be your, oh, you got the Black Vice on you? Paradox Haze you. Tell you what, Paradox Haze you twice. We got an AMU. I'm not exactly certain why we start. Come on, focus. Why we started calling this AMU back in the day. It's Anti-Magic Aura. And it apparently is so anti-magic, it doesn't do focusing. They reprinted it a little while ago, but it just protects Gingy. That's all it's there to do. Here again, we have Whim of Volrath. Really love Whim of Volrath. It turns off a lot of protections. I don't care if you have a sword of something, body and mind. Now you're going to have protection from purple or fuchsia or what. Oh, important thing. You cannot choose fuchsia. I actually had a judge rule that fuchsia's not a color. I did it as a joke. We're playing at a pre-release. Card said name a color. And I was like, I don't, because it was Queer and Elves, and I was playing mono green, and I didn't. Queer and Elves, you tap for a green or tap for the chosen color, and it didn't matter, so I just said fuchsia. And at a pre-release, all right, my opponent raises a judge, and judge could not believe that he did that. But anyway, long story short, I tell non-Magic players when they mention the color fuchsia, I just look at them seriously and I go, I had a judge tell me fuchsia's not a color. They don't know I'm talking about a Magic judge. But anyway, fun times. Now, no blue deck would be complete without High Tide. Typically, when you, and most people know, when you cast that High Tide, they sit up in their chair and they're like, somebody's losing the game right now. But High Tide is, in this deck, is a lot like Mind Twist. High Tide does not win you the game. It does, but it doesn't. People don't realize until like 2 turns later that High Tide was what won you the game. Whispers of the Muses, buyback, draw a card. 6 mana, little deep for that effect, but I'm telling you, the engine and the artifact and it's the reason why there's so much buyback is because the Singular Storm card that we have in the deck, because that is absolutely nuts. If you can do all that capsizing, all that buying back, throw you out of Mind's Desire, you're going to chunk a bunch of your stuff into play. And you're going to acquire your opponent's stuff that you don't necessarily care for. Of course, we got to have, Fabricate ain't wanting to fabricate. Now, Manifold Insights is a new card I've added. I actually haven't had a chance to even cast this card yet. But the bigger the game, the better it is. I mean, it just really looks, because they have to choose a different one. Now, the top 10 cards, and they can't pick a land. Yeah, I mean, this is nuts. I don't understand why this card is not a gajillion dollars. In the big 6, 7 plus player games, Manifold Insights is where you want to be. Of course, I have only one take an extra turn card. I'm running Time Warp specifically because I really like the starter version. I love my white border, and this is, I think, the only way Time Warp exists in white border. We have Deflection. Yes, there are better cards. There are cheaper cards. Deflection is amazing. If for nothing else, for people's life gain strategy, anything that targets is. This was the first card that did it, and it was amazing. And we were all certain this card was so powerful back then it was going to get banned or restricted. Because, back then they did actually restrict cards in Standard or Type 2. Anyway. Mana Short. Here again for when you just absolutely got to screw somebody over. You got the stasis out. They're building up their mana, and at the end of the turn, right before yours, when you're fixing to do something, and that player's got counter magic or shenanigans, you just, oh, hey, by the way, sit out this round, which a lot of times translates to sit out for the rest of the game. Now, Drafna's Restoration is a card a lot of people don't know exists. Antiquities. Antiquities was the most focused theme set ever. I believe every single card in the set has the word artifact on it somewhere. I know the land, like the Urza lands didn't, but let's face it, they're 4 artifacts. But I believe every non-land card in that set has the word artifact on it, and this gets any number of artifacts. Say they bounce your forge in response to your O stone, and all your artifacts go back to your yard, and you're singing the blues, and you have Drafter's Restoration to start getting them back. Paradoxical Outcome. Here again, this is another one of those oh shit buttons because things happen. Global exiles are a thing. They do happen, and this helps you overcome that. That is what I have got for my degenerate Jin Gitaxias deck. I do not have an Omniscience in here because I just don't feel like it's needed. I've played it a couple of times. But as I said, the deck sleeves, oh, that's not a deck sleeve. That's one ring to rule them all. But the deck sleeves, pretty good. It's a pretty good sleeve. Like I said, it is a matte finish. They do come in 100 count packs. They're excellent. I got these at the local game shop, the Gamers Hall, and they're amazing. That is what I have got for today. I do appreciate y'all watching. I am not liable for your social life becoming absolutely non-existent because you opted to play Jin Gitaxias. It is one of those decks that I only play once every so many months because, let's face it, I don't like being kicked in the balls. Anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what you think. But right now, it is time to shuffle and cut.